right, reconnecting. Ari, what's up? I had to turn off my Navionics app. Okay, that's crazy. Now I'm getting feedback. What the heck? Oh, that's why. Definitely turn that off now. Alright, so I just wanted to create a little live stream and give everybody some update on what happened with my content. Everything was going great. We were moving on the boat. We had a Freedom Run trip that was amazing. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Ding, and there goes the phone. Nothing but interruptions. Ooh, that green Bronco looks amazing. Anyway, squirrel. There's a bunch of weather on the East Coast. There was high winds heading south. Now those winds have turned around and now heading north, which is great. It's helping me out because I'm hauling a boat to New York today. But the Freedom Tour Freedom Run was, the Freedom Run is not just because of the American flag. It's because the boat is called a Grady White Freedom. For those of y'all who didn't know that, it's a Grady White Freedom 335, which is a 33.5-foot boat, nearly a 12-foot beam. It's a really wide boat. The legal limit is 8 feet 6 inches wide. So that gives you an idea. It's almost 2 feet wider than what's legal to haul. And then we started looking at the cost of fuel and what it was going to take to drive it to New Jersey, and the tolls and the permits and everything that was necessary. And I'll be God honest, I needed a break from driving. Rick's been doing a great job, but now Rick, my driver, had an episode Wednesday night, leaving us off in Marco, and he ended up not feeling too well. Took him when he got back to Florence, South Carolina. He took himself to the hospital, to the emergency care, and he had just had a doctor tell him that they needed to put a stent in his heart, and ended up, they said, dude, you're stuck here. You know, they put him on oxygen. God, the bumps here, the roads here are just horrendous up in the Northeast. They put him on oxygen and scheduled him for a triple bypass. So there goes my whole schedule. I had all this time set aside for moving the boat, spending some good vacay time, hanging out with my buddy Todd, and all that just went out the window, so to speak, or it sank, and it didn't work out too well. So what's going on with that is the boat's docked in South Carolina. Let me mute this while I'm on the phone, or on there. And it's just there's just too many things going on. And then looking at the weather, I want to pull the boat out of the water. I'm all over the map on this, aren't I? I want to pull the boat out of the water. I want to check the lower units before I make the second half of this trip. This trip was always going to be in two different legs. It was always going to be Marco Island, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Stop, check everything out, check the oil, change the oil, whatever's necessary. I did a log on the engines, went into the ECUs. I have the box for that and the software for it. Saw that the engines were close to their 100 hours. Might as well get it done. So we're going to drain the lower units, put synthetic fluid in the lower units, do a seal test on the lower units, and then replace the engine oil. Might as well. You know, it can't hurt if it picks up a little bit of fuel economy. because as I'm heading further north, I started off, fuel prices were $5.88 a gallon for fuel. And then the guys gave us a nice 50-cent a gallon discount for having Boat US. And then I got to Edisto, and Edisto fuel was $6.78 a gallon. Now we're talking about for unleaded gas. Yeah. So we're gonna. James is supposed to be picking up 2 totes today, for the and putting those on a trailer, and he's gonna get them all cleaned out. And we're gonna go to Buc-ee's and buy about 300 gallons of fuel so I can top off the boat. And I'm gonna leave. I'll when I pull the boat out of the water and we do all the work to the engines and everything next week, or later this week, I mean, then we'll top it off, put it back in the water, and we'll be good to go from that point. So so much going on, just so much going on. It's crazy. It's like, how do I keep up? What do I do? And as I'm getting up here in Maryland, fuel $6 or $5.99 for diesel fuel. That's just insane. And you know what's crazy is the administration can't even hide it anymore. They can't even justify it. They can't even figure out a new lie they can tell us, because it's just nothing matches. But anyway, so we got Rick's getting his triple bypass. I've got 3 different deliveries that I got to deal with, so I'm gonna get that stuff knocked out so my customers can remain happy. We've got a shop full of stuff. Got a new employee, Will. He's kicking ass. He's doing great. He's actually the manager of an O'Reilly's nearby, auto parts store. So in his off hours, he comes to the shop, does some cleaning, does some projects, starts helping me with the projects, helping James with the projects. We got several boat projects at the shop, but due to the lack of mine not being able to be there, keep getting held up. So with fuel prices completely out of control, I think we're going to scale back our transport stuff a lot, get a lot of the stuff done that we need to get done at the shop, and start focusing more on that than anything else. It just seems to make a lot more sense to do that. I really don't want to be on the road as much as I have been. I don't mind being on the water. That's a whole different thing. But it's just, until the midterms and we can get control of this country, or attempt to get control of our country, and the stupidity of buying fuel from foreign countries, which is absolutely the most asinine thing in the world, when we were energy independent. And they keep saying, oh, well, we'll raise prices on truckers, and we'll raise prices, the fuel. It's not just the fuel, it's the DEF. They're really, really scamming this system hard. And I'm just completely shocked that the truck drivers unions and the truck drivers industry haven't come to a decision of a complete blockade, lockdown. I mean, they couldn't even get their truckers for Trump parade, they couldn't even get that crap together. I was in Washington, D.C. I was driving through Washington, D.C. when it was going on. And, at least in Canada, they had some sort of, coordination and people who actually made it happen. D.C., it was just a bunch of guys driving around the oval. Not the oval, the loop. And it was ridiculous. Until this country can come together on one program, one plan, it's just, it ain't gonna happen. Nobody's gonna pull their head out their ass. No one's gonna get these rhinos and swamp creatures out of power, and it'll never happen. And again, it's the people who work hard for a living and who have to provide for their families are going to be screwed, and that's just the way it is. It really is. It's so sad because living a life of freedom, living a life where I make the choices and decisions to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. It's starting to take a lot more effort to just do the right thing these days, and that's the hard part. It's like, you got to be kidding me. The mindset is, you always do the right thing. You always do what's best by, one, your customers, two, your family, and three, the people who you really care about the most. And when there's no way to provide services and to maintain that level of excellence that I like, it's time to, if we can't get it to where it can be perfect, then we just won't do it at all. And that's pretty much where we are in transporting. Everybody wants to pay nothing. It's a crazy. People will talk about, how much they paid for their car or how much their house is worth, but give them something else. Dude, I got that for cheap. But my house, it's worth this. Or my car, I paid that. I'm like, really? Okay, all right. I see how it is. But you don't hear anything about the government talking about, hey, we're gonna make all these electric cars. Okay. What about the guys in the billfish tournaments? Go look that up. Go see how many boats were in the latest billfish tournament. We're talking about multi-million-dollar boats grabbing 4,000 gallons of diesel fuel in a week, easy. Where's the cutback on that? Where is that going to go? Those guys aren't going to convert those big Vikings and Hatterases. They're not going to get converted to solar power or electric. Jesus, those boats weigh enough as it is. That'll never happen. So, it's just a facade so they can cover up and they can make billions off of the suffering of Americans and off of the inexperience and ignorance of Americans, to just keep believing everything that they're saying. And as soon as you figure that out, as soon as you figure out that you're being lied to every single day, that's when it might snap. That's when but enough about that, really. The boat is amazing. If y'all have any questions about the boat, leave a comment. Drop me a comment about the boat.
Red light camera ahead.
There's a red light camera ahead. Am I speeding? No, probably because the red light camera is at the stoplight and everybody's already stopped. So by the time I get to that, the thing might be green. Give you a little background on the boat. The boat is, like I said, it's a Grady White's 2015. It has the Yamaha 350 V8s. In one of my previous videos, you saw that I put new propellers on the boat. I switched to the Mercury propellers on the Yamaha, and I put the Inertia Eco props. I will say that those props are gold. Before, if I wanted to accelerate the boat and I gave it throttle, if I gave it anything more than 3/4 or half the throttle, initially the propellers would start to spin. It's called cavitating. It's like spinning your tires, in a wet car wash. You're not going to go anywhere, no matter how hard you lift off, how hard you get on the throttle. It's just nothing's going to grip. And with the new propellers, those wheels are awesome. I can punch that sucker full throttle. The props bite. The boat moves. No slip. No cavitation. Nothing. It just grabs and they go. Then you start trimming up while you're accelerating, while you're lifting the boat out of the water. And immediately the boat just surfaces, gets on top of the water, and she takes off. Completely different behavior with those propellers. I got the opportunity to go offshore When I left Amelia Island area, I went offshore. It was flat. It was beautiful. And then about 2 hours into it, it turned to shit. Immediately headed back in. Luckily, there was an opening right there in Beaufort. And so came back in South Carolina, took the backwaters of the ICW again. Stopped at Edisto, dropped a little bit more fuel on the boat so I could make it clearly to Charleston. I wanted the boat to be as low as on fuel as possible. Unfortunately, I put a lot more fuel in it than I needed. And yeah, that cost me dearly. It's just, it is what it is. It's better to have too much fuel than not enough. But what I did learn from the trip was that I don't want to keep the boat with more than half a tank of fuel. Because one, I don't need it. There's fuel stops all along the way, and having anything more than half a tank, 3/4 just adds unnecessary weight to the boat. Let's see the other issue. Oh yeah, my laptop, my MacBook Pro. After I got it in 2013. So yeah, it's a little old. Can you imagine a laptop that you'd have for 10 years? Still good, still performs. And it was doing great, and then I think I've lost another battery. I just replaced the battery last year. And I think it's time for me to get a new laptop. I think that's what's going to end up happening. So, all of the footage that I had offloaded off my iPhone onto the Apple, all of the video that I had offloaded off the GoPro, which was the time lapses of the second day, going through the locks with Todd, and all the stuff that was around that is probably gone, which sucks because there was some really, really good footage there. Now, for those of you who've been following the channel for a while and saw that I've been doing some stuff with Banks, and I got all of the Banks products, I'm still waiting for their airbox for my truck, and as that gets in, I'll put the rest of the stuff on that I got. I will say that installing the Monster Ram on my truck has been one of the single most gains for power and fuel economy, mostly for fuel economy, than anything that I've done. Getting rid of the heater grid plate and putting on that Monster Ram intake has been a game changer, and I can't be more happy. I mean, I'm talking finally not pulling anything I can get 19 to 20 miles a gallon. Finally. And that's what the old truck did with the standard output engine. These high output engines don't give you all the beans. They give you all the power, but then the problem is when you want fuel economy, they're like, you wanted power, you can't have both. It's pretty darn awesome. But anyway, that's just a roundup, and I just thought I would share this with everybody. And if you got any questions, drop a question in comments, and I'll try and get to it as soon as I can. Have a blessed day.